Viewers from around the world to today's edition of Money Moves. I am Bosin Amafai, live here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos.
And I am Melissa Enoch. Thank you all for joining us on this wonderful Wednesday.
And this is your news now. A groundbreaking digital platform that will automate public offerings across the French-speaking West Africa has been launched. The innovation, floated by the Central Securities and Depository and Settlement Bank, was funded with a $400,000 grant from the African Development Bank Group. The Digital Share Offering Initiative within the West African Monetary Union is a major milestone aimed at deepening transparency, enabling real-time securities allocation, and enhance market competitiveness. In the meantime, Morocco has reported a stable inflation of 0.4% for the month of June. According to the latest figures, the slight increase in the consumer price index was due to rising food prices of 0.8% last month. Meat prices jumped 4.0%, while fish and seafood prices rose by 3.9%, the report says. However, non-food product prices were up a marginal 0.1% in the month of June. Cost of transportation was down 3.4%, while prices in the restaurants and hotels category surged by 3.8%. All right, let's bring on Melissa for more on News Now. Hi there, Melissa.
Hello there, Bosin. Thank you very much. Let's now start off with corporate news. MTN Uganda has secured the approval of the shareholders on Tuesday to create a new and independent company to run the operations of its mobile money services in the East African country. Let's now take a look at the post-EGM press briefing for more information on this.
We have just finished a shareholders meeting, which has approved a significant step in our journey, which is the structural separation of MTN Momo into a standalone fintech entity. Today, therefore, is another step that has evolved from that activity that we took in 2021. And it has happened after months of careful planning and engagement, where we are now taking a new leap, transforming our MTN Momo business into an independent fintech business, majority owned by MTN Group Fintech Holdings BV, with the remaining shareholding held in trusts for our local investors. When we look at the dynamics of this business, paralleled against our existing GSM business, we know based on the global trends that we have seen that the fintech business moves fast. It needs a lot more focus, flexibility, and freedom to grow.
The proposed structural separation of MTN Momo is a significant strategic move for MTN. It is a clear signal that we are evolving into a modern tech company in line with global trends. The proposed transaction is expected to both preserve and enhance shareholder value in MTN.
In the meantime, bill issuance calendar. The strategic move marks a significant step towards market-based public finance reform that will deepen the domestic debt market and reinforce fiscal transparency. The T-bills issuance calendar gives investors advanced visibility into auction dates, volumes, and maturities. It follows recent reforms such as the introduction of a secondary market and retail investor access through the Ethiopian Securities Exchange. The size of the Nairobi Securities Exchange is expected to jump significantly as the Kenya's National Treasury now requires all public interest entities to start disclosing standardized financial data and to list at least 20% of their equity on the domestic bourse. Kenya's Ministry of Finance says in a report that there is compelling evidence that privatization is necessary to eliminate inefficiencies and raise the standard of governance in public enterprises. And finally, on News Now this Wednesday, the African Development Bank has floated the continent's first ever youth entrepreneurship investment bank. The AFDB President, Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, and the Liberian President, Joseph Boakai, spoke at the unveiling of the initiative in Monrovia on Tuesday. Let's take a listen.
Since 1967, the African Development Bank has invested over $1.02 billion in Liberia across 72 projects. As of February of 2024, our active portfolio of projects includes 18 projects valued at $397 million, each destined to enhance the quality of life for all Liberians. Just think of the following. In transport, a total of 177 kilometers of road construction were completed under the
dollars and covering 18 projects in sectors critical to the growth of this country. These include transport, energy, agriculture, finance, and multi-sectorial initiatives. These investments are not just numbers on paper. They are roads that connect our communities, energy that lights up our homes and businesses, agriculture that projects and strengthens food security and create income for farmers.
And that is your news now this Wednesday. I am Melissa Enoch. Bolson is up after the break for our full markets coverage. Stay tuned.
To your money moves. So let's move on to our Market Street, and we're tracking some of today's data from here at the FMDQ ticker tape room, and you can see the continuous trading on Nigeria's government securities and, of course, other listed fixed income papers here at the FMDQ securities. You can see the numbers over there. I look at across Frontier Africa's market today, and starting as always on the equities side, the Nigerian market today was up by 0.1%. But if you're looking at the screen and you can see the data board for equities today, you can see the big news. The GSE in South Africa crossed for the first time into the triple-digit territory today, crossing into the 100,000 index reading. That was led this Wednesday by industrials 1.76% to the upside. The index has been running around that figure since we started the week. Now that's a new high ever for the GSE in South Africa. The Nairobi stock market at 160.98 also took another high today, 0.66%, as we see investors' appetite, both local and foreign, flowing into frontier African equities market. However, the Zimbabwe stock market down roughly 2%. That's a big dive at 194.83. The market slumped in Zimbabwe on Wednesday. Let's move into currencies, and we'll go into went up just about 0.05% on that 10-year instrument. The others, Nigeria, Morocco, Mauritius, and Kenya 10-year paper remain flattish according to investing.com data as about 13:04 GMT. Now let's talk about that currency I was trying to touch on earlier. The Nigerian currency, and that's why I was getting excited about that, a bit of a rebound on the currency this Wednesday, 1,531.97 to the US dollar. That's 0.32% upside as we see the Central Bank of Nigeria's intervention supporting the market, and of course more of the FX inflows into Nigeria's reserves. All that in play. The rand, however, fell slightly today, 0.07% at 17.56 against the US dollar. Those data at about 12.56 GMT. You can look up the rest. The European, the Moroccan dinar below the 8.99 on the dollar, and that's taking about 0.04%. Let's cross into commodities, with oil prices sitting largely pat today as the market continues to digest the deal that President Trump says is done with Japan, a major trading partner. The market now is looking to have a sense of what trade negotiation or deal with the United States would likely be under the new wave of tariffs that President Trump is throwing around. The August 1st deadline, that's next week Friday, is still anyone's crosshairs. 68.29 for the Brent, US WTI 65.03. Both the pair of those benchmarks down roughly 0.43 around 12:41 GMT. Let's move on, bringing the metal prices. Gold softened slightly by 0.15%. The bullion melted slightly around 3,438. That's around 12.46 GMT when we put this data together. Silver prices, however, moved up very strongly around that $40 handle, which is a new high. Platinum softened by 1.06, 0.76 deceleration in aluminum prices. Iron ore, however, up by 0.38%. Of course, copper, which is a major focus, 1.72%. According to Bloomberg News earlier today, at least 4 or 5 ships carrying melted copper are racing to land on U.S. waters before the August 1st deadline, which was set by President Trump, with which copper imports into the United States would attract 50%. So you've got copper vessels running towards the United States right now to ensure that they escape that tariff, which is expected to come on board in the next few days. And finally, in commodities, commodities, cocoa prices 8,122. That's a slight slow down, 0.33%. Palm oil, I'm sure you're looking at that figure right now, 991.06 around Tuesday evening. That's moved up today to $1,003.90. That's 0.09%. Also taking palm oil, crude palm oil, what you call a CPO, to a new high for the year 2025. Coffee prices still below the $300 level, $295.90, 0.15% softening today because of very robust output from Brazil, one of the world's leading coffee producer and an exporter. So those are the numbers across the markets asset for you today, across those assets for you. Keep an eye on what the markets will bring tomorrow, Thursday, as we begin to tick towards the end of the week. And that's a package of your money moves for this Wednesday. From me and the rest of the team here at the FMDQ studios in Lagos, it's bye for now.